The two countries of the United States and the Netherlands have different drug policies, each of which have been influenced and impacted by several factors throughout the history of these two modern superpowers. And although these two have governmental regulatory policies and concerns to drugs that may seem similar at first glance, the current drug system implemented by the Dutch government is superior to the United States. To understand where the drug policies currently implemented by the United States and the Dutch governments came from, the history of these countries' drug use and regulation must first be examined. The beginning of the United States drug involvement began as early as the 1800s, when opium was first introduced into American society. Because of its addictive quality, it quickly became a large consumer product, and its use began to increase. In 1890, the Congress of the United States passed a bill which began to tax and regulate the sale of opium. Later, around this time, in 1909, the United States held a conference on opium in Shanghai. The United States delegation had hoped for official measures restricting opium sales and use. However, the Dutch resisted this, and basically all that happened as a result of this meeting was a set of recommendations. The U.S. crusade against opium continued, however, and another opium conference took place in The Hague in 1911, resulting in the Hague Opium Convention of 1912. Article 9 of the convention required state parties to enact legislation restricting the production and sale of drugs, specifically opium. Ratification of this new bill in the Netherlands took some time, however, and it was not until the Opium Act of 1919 that Article 9 was given effect. This act remains the legislative basis for the Dutch drug policy today. There are several other key components to what would become the United States drug policy. However, because they do not specifically correlate to the Netherlands, they will be skipped in this presentation. One thing that does correlate to both countries is the history of marijuana legalization. To get right to it, marijuana basically became illegal in 1937 due to pressure from the timber industry, among other reasons. The federal government implemented a tax on the possession of marijuana along with hemp, causing it to become basically illegal in the United States. Following World War II, marijuana use became detectable in the Netherlands, and in 1953, an amendment to the Opium Act, mentioned before, added cannabis to the list of illegal substances. Prosecution for marijuana offenses began, but experts and official agencies soon started to call for reconsideration of prosecution policies. The excessive use of force by the Amsterdam police in response to student riots in 1966 made law enforcement highly sensitive to public opinion and led to a more relaxed attitude towards social issues, such as the peace movement and drug use. Policies de-emphasizing marijuana possession arrests soon resulted. In 1976, the Opium Act was overhauled in favor of another act called the Bond Commission, which classified drugs using a system. This system basically classified drugs into two different categories: Schedule I drugs, which included drugs like heroin, cocaine, LSD, and Schedule II drugs, which included typical hemp products, marijuana, and hash. The biggest difference in policies between the United States and the Netherlands comes from the city of Amsterdam, which is the capital of the Netherlands. In Amsterdam, coffee shops are allowed to sell marijuana and hemp products to customers under the following conditions. In concerns to coffee shops, where marijuana is commonly seen or sold, no more than 5 grams per person may be sold at any one transaction. No hard drugs may be sold. Drugs may not be advertised. The coffee shop must not cause any nuisance. No drugs can be sold to minors under the age of 18, nor may any minors enter the premises. The system has worked wonders for the government statistically and is a superior form of government regulation.
Now it's that puff puff ass shit, Cheech and Chong grass shit, blunts to the head, cush pillows, no match.